Electronic Arts is a company that does not learn from past mistakes. Right around this time last year, they were under direct fire for their anti-consumer shady practices with Star Wars Battlefront 2, which I would say was the wake-up call to really all gamers of how terrible a company EA is. I mean, they've always been horrible, but I think it took them ruining Star Wars and gaming to really ignite flames. But since and really even before that disaster, Electronic Arts has continually proved and showed just how disconnected they are from their audience. BioWare last year with Mass Effect Andromeda came under fire when game designer Manveer Hare's anti-white people tweets were uncovered, and then on launch, players weren't able to create a fair-skinned white character, and there was just a whole lot of other problems with the game, which ultimately led to the title failing, and at least for now, putting the whole Mass Effect franchise on halt. Then in early 2018, controversial figure Anita Sarkeesian visited BioWare and got an early look at Anthem, something that many took a disliking to because of Miss Sarkeesian's very divisive comments on gaming in the past. But to a more recent mess we have is EA DICE's World War II shooter, Battlefield 5, and big mistakes began with the debut trailer, which felt like it was purposely meant to showcase the company's political agenda by including a prosthetic-armed female British soldier fighting on the front lines of World War II, which it never happened. Anyway, EA executive Patrick Soderlund's response to criticism over the game being called historically inaccurate was calling gamers uneducated and saying if you don't like it, don't buy it. He would also mention a conversation he had with his own daughter, who I guess is 13 years old, and saw the debut trailer and did not understand the flack. As Patrick Soderlund stated, his daughter asked, "Dad, why is this happening? I can be a girl in Fortnite. Why are people so upset about this?" And his lengthy, bizarre reaction to this question was, "She looked at me and she could not understand it." And I'm like, okay, as a parent, how the hell am I going to respond to this? And I just said, you know what? You're right. This is not okay. These are people who are uneducated, they don't understand that this is a plausible scenario, and listen, this is a game, and today's gaming is gender diverse like it has not been before. There are a lot of female people who want to play and male players who want to play as a badass woman, and we don't take any flack, we stand up for the cause. Now, the issue with this statement is that there is a clear difference between Fortnite and a World War II shooter, but he also previously had mentioned Battlefield 5 is a lot about the unseen, the untold, the unplayed. The common perception is that there were no women in World War II. There were a ton of women who both fought in World War II and partook in the war. So in Battlefield 5, the problem is that these untold stories are not exactly told. If anything, DICE uses real events and injects their political agenda into it. Now, most of the war stories have some sort of historical issue, but particularly Battlefield 5's Nordales, I think that's how you say it, notably is the most changed from the real events. Because apparently the event that DICE tried retelling was called Operation Gunnerside, which included a team of male Norwegian commandos that successfully sabotaged a German hydroelectric plant without any gunshots being fired. In Battlefield 5, the Norwegian commandos are removed and a mother-slash-daughter duo are now included, which somewhat follows the real untold story events. The problem with this is EA injecting their political agenda and doing exactly what people said they were going to do, which was create a historically inaccurate story that disrespects and ignores the events that really took place. There were women soldiers in World War II that made huge contributions. I can't say this woman's name, but she was known as Lady Death. That was her nickname, and she was a Soviet sniper in the Red Army that had 309 confirmed kills in World War II. That's a story I would have loved to have seen, but we didn't get that, and I just questioned the decisions that EA DICE has made instead. But from the looks of it, Battlefield 5 is already being discounted by about 50% and early sales numbers have not looked very good. Obviously this year there are a variety of reasons why Battlefield 5 sales could be low, like Red Dead Redemption 2, some big competition, but it's hard to imagine the negative press that has come from the historical inaccuracy issues has not contributed to the game so far failing. No matter what though, from Mass Effect Andromeda to Star Wars Battlefront 2 to Battlefield 5, it's been continuous failures for Electronic Arts, who ain't exactly doing very well right now. Next up is Anthem, and judging by BioWare already announcing their next game, things may not be looking too good. Dragon Age 4 The Dreadwolf Rises was announced at the Video Game Awards, but many question why, since the game is still years away. Many have been pointing to Bethesda, who announced Starfield and The Elder Scrolls 6 at E3 2018 to calm fears of a Fallout multiplayer game. In this instance, with Anthem already being called by many a Destiny clone, not featuring a story focus like what people expect typically from BioWare, and the many other issues, there's a belief that Dragon Age 4 was announced to make people feel okay about the future. Except the next Dragon Age game is already stirring up controversy because of comments made by John Epler, narrative director of The Dread Wolf Rises. After the announcement at the Game Awards, Epler received many messages from users saying to not get political with this next installment, and he took to Twitter stating, "A few folks telling me after seeing my Twitter profile not to bring my politics into the game. Dragon Age has always been about belonging, about realizing that family is more than blood, and about celebrating our diversity and differences. It will remain so." Which, for one, at least with Dragon Age Origins, that's not what this was about, and we'll get to that a little bit later, but let me first mention his Twitter profile, which has since been changed. Originally, Epler described himself as a pro-intersectional feminist, which is one of the wokest descriptions I've heard someone describe themselves as, and I even needed to look this up as nowadays these terms are everywhere, and sometimes I feel people are just making shit up. Anyway, Epler since has changed that to just saying he is a leftist, but let's get back to his tweets, because there are a few more. He next says, "Dragon Age is about hope, and about how love and friendship are forces for good, and about how in the end, what we have is each other. Ultimately though, all art is politics. It's just a hell of a lot easier to ignore it when those politics match up with yours. I wear my heart and beliefs on my sleeve, and I always will. We have finite time on this world. I want to spend mine making it a better and more caring place." There's a lot to unpack here, like making the world a better and more caring place. I guess making Dragon Age with a political agenda is accomplishing that, I suppose. But pretty much it sounds like Epler will incorporate his politics into the next Dragon Age, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but it just makes me wonder, what was the purpose of these tweets? Because all it has done is create negativity towards a game that's still years away. Also, his description of Dragon Age is very interesting because many disagree with his conclusion, as Dragon Age Origins felt like a dark fantasy. And as Brad Glasgow perfectly put it, in the first Dragon Age, a young elf hunter was afraid of something in the forest, so he couldn't hunt and impress his girlfriend. You choose to seduce that girl and tell him that you banged her. In the first Dragon Age, your companion asks to kill her mother. You enter a dream realm to save a young boy, and you can choose to condemn the boy to death in order to have sex with a demon. The only way in which your character survives the game is if you give into what is essentially blackmail sex in order to spawn an old god baby. In Dragon Age 2, you can encourage your companion to kill his sister. No, Dragon Age has not always been about belonging, about realizing that family is more than blood, and about celebrating our diversity and differences, and it is highly concerning that the narrative director believes it is. Also, these are just some of the things that at least the early Dragon Age games included. There are some more graphic examples that could have been used, I don't really want to say, that certainly were not about family, love, or hope, and if you played the early Dragon Age games, I think you have an idea what I'm talking about. Epler since has expanded on his remarks, doubling down that all of the games are at the core just that, which I guess is a subjective opinion, but it does concern me about some of the narrative decisions he could make if he truly thinks that's what the games are all about. All I know for sure is that modern day BioWare certainly isn't old school BioWare, and I really think another EA studio is starting off a project by shooting themselves in their foot. Look, I'm not even saying that Dragon Age 4 will be a bad game, it could be amazing. I didn't really bother with Inquisition because it seemed boring, but things are off again to a rocky start. Telling players you're going to inject the next Dragon Age with leftist politics, no matter what, is a divisive action. Electronic Arts as a whole company just can't seem to steer away from acting divisive towards consumers, whether it be a bunch of EA DICE developers mocking Battlefield 5 haters at a launch party, or, well, this. As I said before, Dragon Age 4, The Dread Wolf Rises, is still years away, but I do wonder what it will take for EA as a company to understand pushing or even marketing a game with a political agenda is bad for business. Earlier this year, many games journalists called out Ubisoft for not making Far Cry 5 with a political message in mind. I personally did not care for the story because it did not seem all that interesting. Love the gameplay though. But websites like The Verge and Polygon attacked Ubisoft for not using the Montana setting as a way to talk or critique Trump America. Now you want to know why Ubisoft did not get political? It's because it's bad for business, and the average Joe does not play games to have political agendas shoved down their throat. But even with the criticism from left-leaning gaming websites, and I will say even if there were political messages. I don't know how that improves the story or game at all, but Far Cry 5, overall with what it was a massive success, breaking franchise records. Maybe, just maybe, Electronic Arts can learn a lesson from Ubisoft with how to approach a big release. As Eric Kane of Forbes perfectly put it with Battlefield 5, more than anything it feels like EA and DICE are simply very out of touch with their target demographic. By all means include women in the game, but don't try to earn brownie points by making it seem like you're championing some social cause. EA wants to make money, not change the world. And that comment perfectly puts into perspective the issue with Electronic Arts pushing an agenda with any game. Anyway, these are just my thoughts, and I genuinely would love to hear your thoughts. Not every time you guys and gals will agree with me, and I personally would like to hear some differing opinions if you have any to share. But thank you for watching, and if you did enjoy this video or found any informative value, make sure to leave a like. Also consider subscribing for more videos like this, and I'll see you later.